Hey guys, today I want to talk about Indebted Kindness. It's the gun that has become all the craze in Onslaught, and a lot of people, myself included, have really come to sing its praises, frankly, in a way I wasn't expecting. And so I wanted to hopefully give a basic explanation of why everybody is bringing this, especially to Onslaught. I have some footage that's going to be playing in the background. Now, this is a normal difficulty Onslaught, but I specifically didn't start recording until the level 29 boss into waves 30 and beyond, just so you can see what it would look like in the early stages of a Legend Onslaught. Unfortunately, I didn't have anybody on at the time, and so I wasn't going to solo that. I'm not that kind of player, but this will still give you an idea of the power to expect from the weapon. And I got to tell you, I was very surprised because it was something I had kind of just said, you know what? I don't need Indebted Kindness. It's cool. Hey, I got a neat roll. Whatever. I'm not interested. But after struggling a little bit early on with Legend Onslaught and seeing people, posting on Twitter, posting on Reddit, saying, hey, this gun is nuts, I said, you know what? I know I have one of those in my vault. Let me take it out and, oh, I get it. You start firing it in that mode and you start seeing what those rocket sidearms can do. And I got a little taste of it when I was doing the Buried Bloodline Catalyst, because I had to use that gun to complete that catalyst. I didn't have to use Indebted Kindness, so I didn't. And it was when I did start using it, and when I did start feeling the difference on that, it became my build. It changed the way I was playing Destiny at the time, because I was kind of stuck between weapons. Do I run Subjunctive? Do I run my multi-mock with Kinetic Tremors? Do I run Delicate Tomb? What am I running in that slot? Indebted Kindness has filled that slot. It is so versatile and so effective that has become a staple in my build right now, and everything else that's going on is built around that and its versatility. Also, do want to note real quick that all the footage today, if it looks a little weird, if they're like, oh wow, there's black bars, I play in ultra wide, I record the footage in ultra wide, and so you're probably going to see it in ultra wide. The cool thing is, I think, if you are on ultra wide, I think if you full screen the video, it should just ultra wide. I hope that's what happens. You'd think I'd have checked that before saying it, but I didn't. Anyway, the big thing with Indebted Kindness, there's actually two kind of baseline roles that I would recommend. Having used both of them, putting 2,000 kills plus on both of them, just in the time of playing Onslaught and, other activities, I feel confident in saying it's going to come down to two roles. And those two roles are going to be Volt Shot or Deconstruct. Those are going to be your big fourth column perks. There's a lot of options that can be viable in the fourth column. Things like Adagio, if you want more damage. Things like Surrounded, again, if you want more damage and really want to get in the thick of it. Attrition Orbs, which has become one of my favorite perks in the game. And it's a shame that right now I think multi-mock and maybe some of the brave weapons, I would have to double check. Most weapons don't put attrition orbs in the third column, where I prefer it. I like to pair attrition orbs with a damage perk or something that enhances the weapon more so in the damage department. Or usability, as we'll talk about it in terms of Deconstruct. There is also permeability, which is neat. I think you're giving up way too much on this gun to utilize permeability. You're giving up Volt Shot and Deconstruct, both perks which I think really make this gun, in my opinion, just to be able to use it with other subclasses, maybe to contribute to those verbs. I don't think it's worth it. I would 100% not recommend utilizing permeability unless you are strictly here like, I just want to use this thing and make it strand or solar, whatever the case may be. Fine. That's a choice. Not the one I'd make, but hey. With Volt Shot on this weapon, you're really looking to pair that with something that's going to give it reload speed or give it more... Really, it's reload speed. It's usability. And your two perks that I'd recommend for that are going to be Impulse Amplifier and Enlightened Action, both of which are going to increase reload speed. In the case of Enlightened Action, every shot that you hit is going to add stacks of Enlightened Action, which is going to improve your reload speed and your handling, which the handling on this weapon can be fine depending on the roll you get, but added handling is always a win in my book. However, I would actually recommend Impulse Amplifier. The reason being is you do get a base 20 reload speed increase, which makes it feel much more usable. It's a hidden increase. Like my gun shows a reload speed of 28. With that, it actually has a 48. And let me tell you, that gun reloads plenty quick. I never feel like I'm waiting for that weapon to be ready again. I hit the key, boom, new mag in, I'm rolling. The other thing that's going to do for you is it's going to increase your projectile velocity, which for me is something that is important. The reason I say that is because you're going to have situations where you're firing the gun and you might have to lead your target because it is a projectile. It's not hit scan. This is a, for lack of a better term, projectile-ass projectile. You're going to have to lead targets. You're going to have to account for them moving and shifting around. You're going to have to account for the fact that the wizard is floating and sometimes you're aiming at the head and they're going to dip down. It's so much easier to ensure that you hit your target by having a higher velocity. Right now I have two rolls, one with Impulse Amplifier, one without Impulse Amplifier. Both have a base 66 velocity kind of out of the box. The Impulse Amplifier roll is noticeably faster. It's not something that everyone's going to feel, but I absolutely feel it, and I love it. I won't run another perk on this gun. Impulse Amplifier, I think, is the perfect roll for anyone using Indebted Kindness. And the other thing that we'll get into a little more later is the origin trait. There's ways to work more reload speed into the weapon out of that. Ultimately, it's going to come down to if you get Impulse Amplifier paired with, your choice of perks in the fourth column right now. Again, we're talking Volt Shot. Perfect. Impulse Amplifier is your best choice. Great. You're going to be able to reload that gun a little faster. You're going to be able to utilize Volt Shot, jolt those targets, get that chain lightning. It's great. Everything's great. Lead from Gold is another great option that's going to give you more ammo to use, but the reserves on this weapon are so deep as it is. I've never really had an issue where I've been wanting for ammo. I have almost always had that weapon up, unless I have just been needlessly shredding red bars with it, which can be very fun. But ultimately, ammo's not really an issue with this weapon, and not something I'm going to sit here and tell you, hey, you have to account for this. Lead from Gold is great, but with the reserves on this weapon, not necessary. The other thing I would really consider, Offhand Strike is not a bad option, inherently because sidearms are great hipfire weapons. Indebted Kindness takes advantage of this still, and is a great hipfire weapon. You'll see in this footage, I'm hipfiring it a lot because it's very usable. I don't hate Offhand Strike, but it doesn't do anything for your reload, and it doesn't do anything for your projectile speed. And with a rocket sidearm like this, that explosive damage is putting in a lot of work, so you don't necessarily need to always hit that precision hit. From what I can tell, I could be wrong. I'm not an expert on this. I don't know if this... It looks like this might carry the sidearm precision scaling, where sidearms historically don't have as much precision damage scaling. So they're very close in terms of precision and body damage. I can't tell a huge difference when I'm firing it. Obviously, I haven't run the numbers. I'm not going to tell you definitively that's what's going on. But if that's the case, you're not really losing much by not hitting those precision hits, which offhand strike helps you do. Similar to beacon rounds, their usability perks. Beacon rounds, when you get final blows, it adds projectile tracking. Beacon rounds is really cool, but does nothing to make the gun better in the areas that I would want to see it improved. Yeah, your tracking is going to be great. It still doesn't help you if that wizard slides out of the way at the last second. If you can get high velocity with beacon rounds, sure, your reload speed's going to suffer a little bit, but hey, more power to you. End of the day, I'm dying on the hill for Impulse Amplifier. That is my perfect third column perk. It works with everything, and that is the one that I would highly, highly recommend everybody take advantage of. Again, you know, we know what Volt Shot's about, but not a lot of people really understand. Even though we're talking about it with Edge Transit and stuff like that, you've probably seen the Reddit posts, the posts on Twitter, things like that. People saying, Deconstruct, Deconstruct. You guys haven't tried this thing. Deconstruct is one of the, if not the best reload perks we've ever gotten. Because most reload perks, like rewind rounds, you hit enemies, it gives you ammo back. Cool. Feeding Frenzy, you know, cool perk. Enlightened Action, cool perk, gives handling and reload. Outlaw, not really, you know, not as much of a factor these days. Deconstruct is a reload perk that has the potential to be a damage perk in situations where it really matters. So, just to put this in perspective, I have on my Indebted Kindness, I have a 12 round mag. If I hit every shot, regardless of the enemy type, Deconstruct, its description is very deceptive. It says dealing sustained damage grants bonus damage against vehicles, constructs, and refunds ammunition. That's not what we're taking away from here. They're two separate ideas that are awkwardly worded into the same sentence. If you're hitting Giant Hive Knight boss 12 times with Indebted Kindness, you are getting 8 shots of ammo out of thin air, absolutely free. So you are firing effectively 20 shots out of that mag while only consuming 12 ammo out of your reserves. That is, it doesn't sound like a lot until you really think about it over the course of an entire magazine. Mine, with my reserves, because I run arc, I have my harmonic reserves on, I have 56 reserves with this gun, which means I effectively have 4.5 mags. So for 4 of those mags, I'm firing 80 shots if I hit every shot. And then on top of that, you're going to get the additional shots from those last 8 rounds. I'm not going to sit here and try and do the quick maths in my head. It's a lot of shots. We're talking about 80 plus rounds out of a 56 reserves magazine. That is, as far as I'm concerned, that is insane ammo economy. And you're not going to find, as good as Volt Shot is, I didn't actually find it was as strong as I wanted it to be, especially in Onslaught. I found it was leaving red bars alive in a way where I'm scratching my head like, hey, is this scaling based on it being a sidearm, not so much based on it being a rocket sidearm? I don't know, but there's a lot of enemies that didn't die to Volt Shot that I expected to die. But everything dies when you can shoot it 20 times, is the moral of this story. And Deconstruct does all the things you need it to do. It gives you extra ammo, and in situations where you have shriekers, or, you know, say you're on Neomuna running terminal overloads and the Cabal ships come in and you need to take those down, or you're running Lake of Shadows and those Cabal ships come in and start firing their missiles at you. Guess what? Deconstruct is going to give you bonus damage against those constructs, those vehicles. Turrets, Scorpius turrets. I mean, it specifically says turrets. You're going to do more damage to Scorpius turrets. So when you get the yellow and orange bar turrets out there, you're going to do more damage to them. So situationally, it gives you this extra damage when you deal sustained damage, which is awesome. You know, in Legend Onslaught, you're getting yellow bar Shriekers, and suddenly you're killing them in 4 shots, 5 shots, depending on how you're hitting them. And they go from being a complete menace to your team to something you just kind of have under control. Nobody else has to worry about that because you have the Shriekers on lock. You can kill one by the time the other one opens its little shrieky eye and decides it's going to target you. Guess what? You're already shooting that one because you killed the other one so fast. There is nothing, in my opinion, that Volt Shot can do that Deconstruct can't just do better for free by just applying more rounds to it. And it's just a matter of hitting shots. It doesn't need to be against the same enemy. It is just sustained damage. So as long as you're firing and hitting those shots, you're getting the ammo back. It's crazy. It is one of the best perks we have ever seen. I can't wait to play with this thing on like a pellet shotgun down the line if they talk about it in here. But I don't know that any pellet shotguns currently roll with Deconstruct. No, I was able to confirm no pellet shotguns currently roll with Deconstruct. But that is a perk I can't wait to see on a pellet shotgun. It's probably going to end up in a 4th column, unfortunately. But if it did end up in a 3rd column with something like Trench Barrel, the possibilities with that are wild, and they blow my mind. And so my personal role on this is I have a ton of velocity, or as much velocity as I can get on it right now. If I could change my range masterwork for a velocity masterwork, I would do it in a heartbeat. I do have an appended mag because that was the best mag that dropped on it for me. I have no complaints about that because having more ammo means I can proc Deconstruct more often. But ultimately, you want to build this thing with velocity in mind. You want to get that projectile speed up as high as you can, and either with Deconstruct, you're just getting free ammo for hitting your targets, dealing the damage you were going to be dealing anyway. And especially when it comes to those constructs like those giant Shriekers and things like that, you're going to do that bonus damage and you're really going to feel how good it is. Especially when you pair it, I mentioned I was going to talk about this before, with the Sundering origin trait of Indebted Kindness, where destroying vehicles and constructs or breaking target shields, which is huge on this, grants this weapon bonus reload speed. It's a plus 40 reload speed just for breaking a target shield or destroying vehicles and constructs. That's huge. That's huge. So you're getting so much free reload speed just by utilizing the gun in the same way you would want to utilize Deconstruct. They were made for each other. It kind of almost feels obligatory, but I will say, if you're going to get anything else in this column, in the 4th column, Volt Shot should be your pick. Volt Shot has a ton of usability, regardless of what subclass you're on. I think Volt Shot has more usability than Permeability would. That artifact is going to go away in terms of solar, so you're not going to be applying those Scorch on hits, even if you have Permeability, like the artifact allows you to have. You're not going to gain Radiance with it. For this season, I could see Permeability being an interesting option if you're playing on a solar subclass. Once that goes away, though, you're going to wish you had either a Volt Shot or a Deconstruct roll, unless the next artifact does something crazy where you're applying like Volta. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe if you get Permeability on this gun, this is your artifact gun of when something cool happens on hit, I'm going to have this Indebted Kindness with Permeability, and it's going to change the way I play the game. Sure, roll with that. Everyone else, Deconstruct. And if you're not sold on that, then just get Volt Shot, because Volt Shot is great. Attrition Orbs, really cool perk. Not what you want to be using Indebted Kindness for. Sure, it's great. You're going to get more orbs. You're going to get a ton of orbs just by killing things with Indebted Kindness if you have an Arc Siphon mod on. There are better weapons. I prefer attrition orbs on primary weapons. And again, I especially prefer it on something like multi-mock where it's in the third column paired with another perk. But, you know, if you have not run Warlord's Ruin yet, you know, hit Fire Team Finder, hit the LFG servers, whatever you got to do. That first encounter, people like to farm it. It's quick. I had that Volt Shot roll, and one day I decided, hey, you know what? I want to get this Deconstruct roll. I think this is going to be good. I ran one. I got real lucky and got it, and I haven't taken it off since. You will not regret Deconstruct on this weapon. I promise you that. But that's all I've got for you right now. Those are kind of my recommendations for what I would tell somebody who's looking for this gun right now, who wants to get this. Hey, what should I be looking for? Those are the roles that you really want to get your hands on. Apologies if this video is a little scattered. I don't really like to script this stuff. I like to talk. I like to kind of give you my more genuine opinion, not something that feels like I'm reading off a script. But if you enjoy that, cool. Let me know. I would love to hear that. And otherwise, if you enjoyed the video, let me know. If you didn't, I'm sure you'll let me know. But I will catch you guys on the next one. Later.